You know, most cravings, where they come from, is more so your emotions. It's more so what's actually happening inside your brain, and yet you keep calling them cravings as if you have zero control over them. So here's what I want to talk about today, because I have a lot of clients, they get a lot of cravings. That's how they come to me. They come to me saying, I have sugar cravings, I have stress cravings, I have all these bullshit cravings, and then they think that the best way to tackle them is through food. And unfortunately, that's not going to save you. It's not going to help you. It's not going to actually make how you feel any better. So a lot of the time, what will happen is these cravings will come up. But you got to ask yourself, what happened before the cravings came up? Did you have any type of stress response? Did something trigger you? Did you get a little bit annoyed? Did something happen where you then had a little bit of a turn and you started craving something like sugar, something like chocolate, something like fats, whatever? And the reason why you typically have this is because you're seeking some comfort. So what happens is, like, our body naturally wants to try and find that level of comfort so that we have a little bit of predictability. And then when you want that comfort, you're trying to release some dopamine. And that dopamine is trying to give you that feel good. And the more that you get that dopamine, the more you're going to feel better. And then obviously you're not going to be stressed. You're not going to be anxious. You're not going to have these emotions that are going up everywhere. So what you want to do is, as soon as you feel some of those cravings set in, there's a couple of things that you want to kind of check off. And this is what I do with a lot of my clients, because one of my clients will come to me and be like, I keep doing these binge eatings because I end up having all these cravings for sugar. And when I asked, well, when do these happen? What they'll say is, they will say, well, they always happen whenever, like, I get a little stressed. And I'm like, okay, well, when you're getting stressed, how long is that lasting? And they'll typically say, oh, I'll be sitting in that state for a couple of hours. And I'll ask them, well, have you had any water? Have you been hydrated? Have you eaten anything? When was the last time that you ate? And so through answering these questions, you start to get a pretty good idea of why these cravings even happen in the first place. So it's pretty easy to start to pinpoint why they're actually happening, because the body doesn't naturally just start coming up with cravings, especially if you're pretty routined and structured with how you eat. So if you're eating 3 meals, 4 meals, 5 meals, doesn't matter. If you're eating regularly at the same time, really you're going to get a little bit of hunger, but you're not going to get the cravings. And the best way to control the cravings is by asking yourself some questions. So you're going to go through a checklist. Number one, you're going to ask yourself, how much water have I had for the day? Am I actually hydrated? If you've done a lot of workouts or training, maybe you've sweat a bit more, or maybe you've spoken a lot more because you've been in meetings all day and you're not as hydrated. Just by you not being as hydrated, you're naturally going to have a little bit more cravings towards something sweet, or maybe even sour, or just something like a texture that you want. From there, you want to ask yourself, well, what was my emotions like throughout the day? Was I in a high stress state, high anxiety? Did I feel a little bit low? Like, what was going on emotionally? Ask yourself that, because it's pretty easy if you start checking yourself in terms of your emotions. If you're feeling a little bit guilty, if you're feeling a little bit shameful, embarrassed, anxious, whatever, all of those negative emotions instantly are seeking some form of comfort to make you feel better and not feel that emotion. So you're going to ask yourself that question. Once you've done that, you're then going to go, when was the last time that I ate a meal? It might have been 10 hours prior. It might have been just only an hour prior. But you want to ask yourself, when was the last time I ate? And in the meal that you ate, did you actually hit the macros, right? Macros and micros. So your micronutrients live in the macronutrients because they're micro versions of whatever's in there. So your vitamins and minerals are all in there. So you want to ask yourself, well, did I have anything? Did you have any vegetables? Did you have any salads? Did you have anything like that? Did you have carbs? Did you have fats? Did you have protein? Did you only have one food group? Because this typically will lead you down another path. Because if you're constantly craving something sweet, you're typically missing that in your diet or in what you're having during the day, in your routine and in your structure. So then you're going to ask yourself, well, if all you're having is a protein-rich meal, but no carbs, then of course you're going to crave carbs. If all you're having is fat and no protein and carbs, then of course you're going to crave a little bit of protein and carbs. Like, you're going to crave what you're not getting. So that's why you want to target and tackle these so that your meals are balanced. Balanced nutrition is always going to be the number one way for you to live a longer life, live a better life, and not go down this quick fix bullshit road. So the last thing that you're going to do just to help you control the cravings, because at the end of the day, even if you have all the answers to all those questions and all of the checklist, you still have to control the cravings. And you're not going to necessarily be able to do that because you're already at the point of almost no return, because you're going to want to give in to the cravings. And if you don't have much resilience or discipline, then you're definitely going to give in to the cravings. And then what's going to happen is you're going to find yourself in a place of shame and guilt and feel worse about yourself. And then you're back to the start. So what you want to do is some breath work. Now, I love doing breath work and giving breath work to all of my clients. The reason for that is it gets them into a controlled state. You feel grounded, you feel like you're in control, you just feel better. So there's a million breath works out there. Choose one that works for you. There's so many out there that you could just Google it, find it, and start doing it. The goal here is to do it consistently, do it regularly, and do it for the same amount of time. Once you start doing breath work, what you're going to notice is that you're a bit calmer. And now when you're a little bit more calm, you're in control and you're then more aware of yourself, and then you'll make a better decision. That's essentially what breath work does. It helps you create a better control of yourself. So as you do the breath work, you're going to feel like those cravings are starting to go away. The reason for that is it's putting you in a state of rest and digest. So you can rest, you can digest whatever you have had, if you've had anything, and you can start to calm down your nervous system, because you don't want that always stimulated. If it's always stimulated, you're going to do what? You're probably going to eat like shit. So you want to calm that down. You want to control that. So that's exactly what I do with a lot of the people that I work with, and get them to get in as much control as they can of their, not only just their emotions, but what happens to their emotions. Because all of your emotions, they're going to lead to a behavior. And your behavior is going to lead to a habit. And that habit is going to lead to the outcome, which is probably the results that you have on your physical body. So if you have a lot of control with your emotions, then you're probably going to have a better behavior. And your behavior is going to create good habits, and those good habits are going to showcase themselves on your physical body. That's what it is. So all of these super disciplined people out there, all the people that look really, really fit and lean, you know, most of the time, if they're actually natural, this is, then you can see that they're just putting in work. They're saying a lot of no, they're getting in control, they're actually pretty aware of themselves, and they're just a bit more driven in what they're doing. And that's not everybody, okay? I'm fully aware that there are a lot of people cheating out there, so let's just ignore those. But this is where you want to really address yourself and how you're responding to your stresses and your emotions so that you can get better outcomes. Because a lot of the time, you want to control your cravings so that your cravings don't control you, and then you have a shittier outcome and you don't like your body for it. So avoid them by being in control of them. And so now that I have the intake, this is the first week actually that I'm doing the intake for my Eat Clean, Get Lean program. If this is something that you are interested in, you can reach out to me on Instagram. You can also go to my website that is in the description, and you can put forward an application so that you can actually get into the program, because once the end of this week closes, it's done. And it's a good opportunity for you to build muscle, lose body fat, build confidence, feel better about yourself. And if you don't, then you're probably just going to stay the same, which that alternative doesn't sound so good. So if that's the choice that you make, I don't know why you would make that choice. So if it's not this, do something different. Regardless, control your damn self. And now the reason why I've started to switch from doing 2 podcasts a week down to just 1 is because I wanted to create a little bit more value. I wanted to go a little bit longer, give you a little bit more insight into what I provide for people. Also just like coaching and helping you kind of like get better. So every week on Thursdays, you're going to see this episode drop, and I'm hoping that you can take as much value as you can from it so that you can actually start to change your life. Because at the end of the day, if you don't change something, then you stay the same, and staying the same doesn't really work. So I want to create a little bit more value and give you a bit more so that you can go and it gives you enough time as well to take actions on the things that I'm providing. So every Thursday, jump on here, make sure you turn your notifications on, that little bell looking thing. Turn that thing on so that you can get the notifications on these episodes. And then I can help you further with more of the behavior, more of the emotions, more of the nutrition, and hopefully some more of the training that I can drop this way. So remember, guys, everything that you want is on the other side of fear. So make a move, take action, because you're one decision away from a completely different life.